Hello and welcome to another GM Tips. GM Rick here, wearing my Weeping Angel shirt today for a little bit of Doctor Whovian moments. Actually, I'm excited, and before I get into my thing on the Tomes of Horror, the different two that I have at least, I want to say, huge fan of Capaldi. Gonna hate to see him go, but they've already got a new one in place, so we will see what happens on that series if you haven't been catching up with Doctor Who. Alright, so with that plug, I'm going to look at third-party materials that you can use for either D&D or Pathfinder or Dungeon World or 13th Age, because you can use them for all of them. They're very interchangeable with them, and you could even use them in a D20 setting. So you could use it in Green Ronin stuff. You could use it in a lot of the D20-based systems. But I'm going to focus a lot on the Pathfinder and the D&D, as you guys know, because that's the two I play the most. So, are the Tomes of Horror from both Sword and Sorcery, who started it out, but it's actually Necromancer Games, because if you look, there's Necromancer back there, there's Necromancer there, and Frog God. Frog God got in with them a little later on for the Sword and Sorcery end of it. Are they worth the purchase for new creatures? Okay. And from my experience, I would say yes for many multiple reasons. I think the variety in here and some of the creatures are very unique. They're very different than the D&D ones and the Pathfinder ones and some of the other ones that you find in maybe 13th Age and Dungeon World. And they've got some really cool creatures, okay, in general. Now, this book here, the first, which is a little tougher to get, probably has... it's packing about 300 and some odd pages in it. Of that, I would say 270 pages are monsters. And they have some really cool things in here. Now, some of them are going to reflect the ones that you find in Dungeons & Dragons and Pathfinder already. However, they do some interesting and neat twists to them to adapt them. But there are some things in here that are really, really different that I really like. The Buta. I love the Buta when it comes to the undead. And I'll show you the Buta here with the axe in the head. Always love that. Great artwork. The Butas are great because they have some grappling things that undead don't have. And I love the death grip. The death grip of the Buddha is horrific. Especially if you're looking at... Now, these guys are a 7d12 hit die creature. They're pretty tough. And against a medium party, the Buddha is going to be just literally a pain in the rear end to deal with. Because they do 1d6 plus 3 damage, crushing you per round as they have you in a grappling grip. So the biggest problem for most characters is you're always going to be countering and recountering and fighting them getting you into a grapple hold, because that's where they want you to deal with you. So keep that in mind. They are an interesting undead. And for those of you that are doing some undead things, take a look at them. They are really pretty freaking cool when it comes to things. And they're on page 20 and 20, or 21 and 22. Now, there are a couple other things that are really unique. I love, and this is a medium-sized undead, and you can tell I'm partial with undead, especially going into Mummy's Mask. The Bloody Bones. The Bloody Bones is an interesting creature, and I'll show you the picture on the other page. There they are. Creepiest looking thing with those tendrils going through them. They have some characteristics, again, that make it hard for your characters to combat with. They're a 5d12 creature, 30 to 40 hit points in nature, so they're not too difficult. You can put them against a 4th and 5th level party. Where they come in and really are interesting is they have 4 sinewy tendrils that have a 30 feet reach on them. So you can hit players from very far out. And those tendrils, when they hit you, they attach and they wrap around the body. They deal no damage, but they drag them closer to the actual creature so then it can turn around and rend them. Love that fact. So now you've grappled them, and now you get to win them because you're dragging them in. And the horror effect of that is just greatness. I love it because it just gives that shock and horror to the player that, oh my gosh, I'm getting dragged into the maw of death. And the fact that they are slippery because of the mucus and blood flow of their body. So the grossness factor takes it up to another level. So keep that in mind. They do some really nasty things to your players. That one, sweetie, or the frog, or this one, the crocodile rock. Okay, we'll do crocodile rock. Sorry, I wasn't watching the VGM. So I love these. Now, some other things I love is they introduced the Bog Mummy. Okay, and the Bog Mummy is something unique. Now, again, Midgard, I believe, also has a Bog Mummy in theirs. But having a different mummy than just a dried mummy, because there are other types of mummies. There are frozen mummies. There are boggy ones that get mummified down in the bog and are preserved that way. Well, this is the Bog Mummy, and they are that way. The Bog Mummy is an 8d12, so about a 55 to 70 hit point creature, so very effective against parties that are 6th and 7th level. Again, undead. They do slams, and they can also infuse bog rot. So not only do they have the mummy rot, but it's not the dry mummy rot. It's the mushy mummy rot. So I kind of like that. And it's a DC 20 save, and you take 1d6 damage from strength, dexterity, constitution, or charisma. Just determine. You do a d4 to see which one it affects. The damage. It can create spawn. It is resistant to blows. I love that factor right there. It's kind of like a shambling Hulk. You're dealing with the shambling creatures in the same way. You strike them and you don't do as much damage. And so they do half damage, all physical damage, to these mummies. So, all right, go up to the frog. So those are some interesting ones out of there. They got the bone cobbler. I think they're kind of an interesting thing. They're more of an aberration, but I kind of love what they do. Again, usable in the horror campaigns. So for me, that's just a cool creature. I'm going to hit a couple more out of this book, and then I'm going to go to the other one. So I'm going to show you some reasons why. The Coffer Corpse. You guys remember the Coffer Corpse. Any of you guys have played early AD&D, this was a creature that was just a pain in the rear end. They're low-level undead. But the fact that their death grip and their grapple was always just a horrific thing to players. So they have some really nasty, nasty things here. All right, let's go here. I love the crypt things, but crypt things are a lot of other things. Now, where else are they cool? I love the Darnock. The Darnock, to me, is an undead, is one of the cooler undeads. It has not only the frightful presence, but the slam attack. Okay, on a successful attack, damage dealt by the Darnock slam attack is permanent. It does not heal naturally, and cures, spells, and potions do not have an effect. So damage the Darnock does, your cleric can't heal in combat. You can't deal with just using healing kits. You are pretty much, until you get to a remove curse, a restoration, a heal, or a miracle, or something higher, you are pretty screwed. And so using that on the players, nasty. And it's like a 6th, 7th level creature, so it's something that's really powerful to put against your players. Symbol of Discord. I love that it has a symbol of Discord that can disrupt things. Again, a really great feature with this. Then they also have a ghost form, so it can become incorporeal for up to 10 minutes. So now you need a ghost touch item, or you have a 50-50 chance of hitting them or not. That is a cool feature too. So the Darnock has a little bit of the ghost. It has the permanent damage of the slam. It's just a mean creature. It's a corrupting evil presence that literally sucks the life out of the people. So, you want to go down to Crocodile Rock again? All right. Last one. All right, so those are just some cool things out of here. Let's give you one more, because you got to have one more out of here. Why? So let's do that. Yes, who doesn't love puddings? The Dun Pudding, or brown pudding. It has an improved grab. It has acid attacks that are just nasty, destroying organic materials. And it does 50 points of acid damage around. So against players, that's a scary thought. It can spit at them. So weapons deal no damage to a Dun Pudding, or split. Sorry, not spit, but split. You hit it, and it splits it into another brown or Dun Pudding. So I love these type of things. Puddings are really fun when it comes to that type of stuff. That's just a glimpse into the Tome of Horrors. Got to get it, folks. Lots of good stuff in here, especially mid-level monsters. And let's all face it, we run out of mid-level monsters sometimes. We have a lot of powerful or really easy monsters, but the mid-level monsters are a little more tougher to find. Second one, the Tome of Horrors 4. Now, I got the most updated, and why was this? Because I love how they redid the tables, made it a lot easier. The first one you had to go and know and just kind of follow in order. It didn't give you a page number on them. I love some of the golems. 117, the necromantic golem. Got to love it. All right, so, sweetie, I'm going to just music now. All right? Disney music. Sorry, folks. Give me 2 seconds, and I will have her on Disney music. There we go. All right. So, the necromantic golem. Now, again, the picture doesn't necessarily put horror into it. It's kind of a flesh golem, but it's different. And here's where it's different. It has an enervating ray, so a negative energy ray. Got to love that. It's a 30-foot ray, or it gets you 1d4 negative levels. Don't you love that? So now you get in within 30 feet to try to hit the dang thing, and it can cause serious scariness. Now, as a GM, DM, I would suggest not exposing that right away to your players. These creatures have a low intelligence, so, again, not the most intelligent thing in the world. If they keep their distance and using distance attacks from 30 feet out, so throwing items at it or doing things, that's when you start hitting them with that ray to draw them in closer. They're immune to magic like all golems. Love that effect. So basically, pound it with fireballs, everything else, it's a friggin' immune to your spells. And rejuvenation, it heals 1 hit point an hour. So even after the players put it down and think they've killed it, if they send it negative, it can slowly work its way back. And it has an unholy blast. As a free action, every 1d4 rounds, the necromantic golem can unleash a blast of negative energy in a 20-foot cone. And it causes 66 of negative energy against good aligned creatures. It does 68. So, it is a nasty piece of work. Again, not a hard armor class to hit. But just, it has the construct traits and is nasty to go after. So, new golems. Love the new golems. Now, let's take a look at some really cool stuff. I like the Bone Delver. Now, it's again a low-level creature. Okay? Nothing too fancy. But the Bone Delver can cause filth fever like a ghoul, and it has a scream of agony that can shake creatures for 1d4 plus 2 rounds. And the Bone Delver lanterns can detect undead. So, it is an interesting creature to go against. But for low levels, it's something different than a ghoul that's fun to play with. And it's pretty nasty. Its damage is a shovel, which is 1d4, 1d6 plus 1 plus disease, because it uses that shovel to dig out dead creatures. I love it. All right. So what else do we like? I like, oh yes, the Samota. I like the Samota. That is one of my favorites. And I'm going to use that on my party at some point. I don't know when, but they'll get to find it. It's a 5d8 undead, so you're thinking, okay, nothing too really powerful. But it's 5d8 plus 25 hit points. So 47 to 60 hit points, pretty nasty. Armor class isn't really hard to hit, but it has displacement. Samoda manifest on the material plane as a shifting cloud of shadows and coalesce into cloaked and hooded form. So there's that 50% mist chance again. It has a life sense. So if the players try to hide or sneak, it can detect their life force. Love that. So the rogue doesn't get a real major advantage from it. And it can manifest into the material plane when it wants to and hits with its claws. Now, nothing nasty. It's 1d6 plus 3, but it's a 19 or 20 crit chance. That's pretty nasty. And it has an unholy existence, but it has an unnatural aura that basically takes effect, and animals are not willing to approach the Samoda. So it scares them away. Now, they have guardian Samodas and high Samodas, which are nastier. That one's just the base one, so they take you up. Now, it has a 2-weapon fighting superiority as a black skeleton as a guardian Samoda. So usually it has dual scimitars that can hit you not only for damage but negative energy levels. So now it's starting to get a lot tougher. 85 hit points, 8d8 plus 48, so it can be higher than that depending on what you roll. And the high Samoda is really nasty. Now we're talking into the hundreds of hit points. And its scimitars have a plus 15 to hit and are evilly aligned. So now these things are all of a sudden becoming pretty friggin' nasty. And they have 2-weapon fighting superiority, so they don't take the negatives. So now it's a whirling dervish of death. So could you imagine that in a desert campaign? Nasty, nasty, nasty. The cindernight. Oh, do I loves me the cindernight as an evil outsider. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. The Cindernight's a lot of fun. You can have up to 210 hit points on these beasties. And they're about a 26 armor class, so they're not easy to hit. And even if you convert it to D&D, it's still one tough customer to take on. Now, what's so nasty about them? They have a cleave, critical focus, great cleave, greater fortitude, iron will, power attack, vital strike, and weapon focus, a great sword. That's a nasty piece of fighting machine right there. And it gets 3 hits or 2 slams, depending if it's armed. If it's armed, it does 2d6 plus 10 plus a d6 fire. So armed, they are just wickedness hitting a player. So for medium level to 10th level players, that's a serious challenge, especially if you got 2 or 3 of them coming at you. So keep in mind, these things are kind of just a scary piece of work. The Crimson Death. Love me the Crimson Death. Here's why. The Crimson Death, again, is an aberration. It's not necessarily an undead, though people will think it is an undead spectre-type creature, and you can play it up that way. It is an engulfing creature, so the Crimson Death strikes a target with one of its tentacles and pulls it in. And it can immediately make an engulfing attack on that opponent. The target creatures can make attacks of opportunity against Crimson Death, but if they do so, they are not entitled to a saving throw against its engulf. So they got to make the choice. Do I AO it, or do I just let it? Do I try to fight the engulf? I try to fight the engulf, because here's why. Once engulfed, it then puts the condition in a pin condition and is in danger of suffocating. And it takes 1d6 points of damage and 1d6 con damage every round until it's gone. And then it dies. So, they are a suffocating piece of work. That's why a Crimson Death, it's the choice of, do I AO it, do I try to hit this creature, or do I just let it engulf me? Always a tough thing. Alright, 2 more, and then I will finish it out for the day with you guys. And you guys can then decide. They have a gray dragon. I thought that was pretty cool. even though they have the Draco Hydra. The Grey Dragon. Now, the Grey Dragon, again, kind of like the artwork, something different. They're an evil dragon, and they can corrupt water. They can change shape, polymorph, and their breath weapon is a superheated steam shot of water. So they are constantly hitting you with steaming water. A very old gray dragon with its breath weapon, it's about 237 to 300 hit points. Its breath weapon is 18d6 of fire because it's steam. The worms can do up to 22d6, and the great worms can do up to 24d6 with a DC 30 save. They are much tougher than most dragons, and they can get up easily to 400 hit points as a great worm. So keep in mind, these creatures are pretty friggin' nasty when you come up against them. And for those of you who like the Gibbering Mouth, the Gibbering Orb. Yes, Gibbering Mouthers take on a new realm of horror. You have the Gibbering Orb. I love it. It's a huge aberration. The Gibbering Orb, the regular Gibbering Orb, is 337 hit points. The lesser one is only a minor 100 hit points. It can use eye rays, like a beholder does, and it has 12 bites. 12, count them, 12 friggin' bites. Its armor class is 48 on a regular Gibbering Orb. On the lesser, which I recommend throwing it to players, it's only a 20. The greater Gibbering Orb with its eye rays can steal spell-like abilities or swallow whole, which does nasty, nasty damage. The bites are 2d8 plus 11 on the regular, with a 19 or 20 critical and a grab possibility. Okay, and they get a plus 30 to hit. Talk about flying death. The lesser one, not so bad. They only get 6 bites at 1d8 plus 3, plus 12 to hit. Don't you already love what you're seeing in these books? I do. And I'm going to use much more of them because they're not the beaten path players know. So keep that in mind. And they also are available on Hero Lab. Gotta love it. So I would say just because of the sheer unique creatures that come in these books, yes, there's some overlap, okay? It's going to happen. But I would say 60% of the monsters in there are not overlap. And they're nothing your players are going to be used to. Unless they collect those books, they're not going to be something they expect. They're not going to be something out of the beaten path. I love the Gibbering Orb. Oh my gosh, when I discovered that, I just got giddy. Not because I want to kill the players, but I just, the psyche, I love dealing with the psyche of the player. And causing that moment of, holy crap. We got to think this one out. What are we going to do? Because they're not going to, I'm going to tell you right now, no fighter in their right mind runs up on a Gibbering Orb. None. Because they're going to become chow easily. They're going to get et and be done. and that's the fun of it. So, I hope this 24-minute video gives you a little bit of pumpness, but gets you at least one of these 2 tomes and add it in for some added fun. Thanks again, GM Rick here, and I hope you have a great week again.